The first time I realized my life mattered less than my sister's was when I was 9 years old. Emily was blowing out candles on a 3-tier birthday cake, while my mother filmed the moment like it was the royal coronation. My father clapped loudly, beaming with pride. "Make a wish, sweetheart," Mom said. Emily closed her eyes dramatically. Everyone leaned closer. I stood by the wall holding a paper plate with a slice of cake that wasn't even cut straight. It was my birthday too. We were twins. But Emily had always been the center of gravity in our family. The golden child. The miracle. The future. I was simply the other one. My name is Claire Bennett, and growing up in suburban Ohio meant learning early that love in our house came with conditions I never quite met. Emily was beautiful, charismatic, magnetic. Teachers adored her. Boys chased her. My parents worshipped her. I was quiet, bookish, invisible. But I didn't hate Emily. Not then. Because I believed family was family. I believed someday my parents would see me too. For years, I worked harder than anyone. Straight A's, part-time jobs, scholarships, while Emily drifted through life like a celebrity on permanent vacation. My parents paid for everything for her cars, vacations, sorority dues. When I got accepted into nursing school, my father shook my hand like I was an employee. Good. Practical career. Emily got accepted into a marketing program she barely attended. My mother cried tears of pride. She's destined for big things. I told myself none of that mattered, because I had my own life to build. Until the night, everything changed. It started with a pain in my stomach. At first, I ignored it. Long hospital shifts as a nurse meant constant exhaustion anyway. But the pain kept growing. Sharp, burning, relentless. After weeks of tests, the doctor finally sat across from me with a serious expression. "Claire, we found something." The word tumor echoed in my skull like a gunshot. Not malignant, but dangerous. Surgery was necessary. And expensive. Even with insurance, the hospital estimate was nearly $38,000. I stared at the paperwork, numb. But I had parents. Surely they would help. Family helps family. Right? That night, I drove to my parents' house. Mom was flipping through bridal magazines at the kitchen table. Emily's wedding planning. A massive celebration scheduled for the summer. Dad poured wine. Emily laughed while scrolling Pinterest. Everything felt warm, happy, normal. Until I spoke. "I need help," I said quietly. They looked at me. I explained the diagnosis, the surgery, the cost. I expected concern, fear, support. Instead, the room went silent. My father leaned back slowly. "That's unfortunate. Unfortunate. Like bad weather." Mom Sahil. "Well, medical bills are tricky." Emily barely looked up. Dad cleared his throat. "We're already stretched thin financially." I frowned. "But you're paying for the wedding." Emily's wedding budget was $100,000. Everyone knew it. My mother's expression hardened. "This wedding is important, Claire." I felt my chest tighten. "My surgery is important too." Dad shook his head. "You're an adult. Medical costs are your responsibility." The words hit like a slap. "But you helped Emily with everything." Mom snapped. "Emily has a future to build. She needs support." My throat burned. "So do I." Emily finally spoke. "You're being dramatic." Dramatic. I stared at her. My twin. The girl who had shared my birthday, my room, my childhood. "Claire," Dad said firmly, "we cannot pay your medical bills." The finality in his voice crushed something inside me. I stood slowly. No one stopped me. No one followed me to the door. And as I drove home, with tears blurring the road, one thought kept repeating in my mind. Not pain, not fear. Just one quiet realization. In this family, I had never mattered. Surgery was scheduled for 6 weeks later. 6 weeks to figure out how to survive. 6 weeks to learn what loneliness really meant. I emptied my savings first. Years of careful budgeting disappeared overnight. I sold my car, took extra hospital shifts, worked double nights. Still not enough. Medical bills stacked like silent threats on my kitchen table. Meanwhile, my phone filled with wedding updates. Emily's bridal shower, Emily's dress fitting, Emily's tropical honeymoon plans. My mother posted photos online with captions like, "Counting down to the most beautiful wedding ever." I stopped liking the posts. Then, I stopped looking. But the pain didn't stop. Not the physical pain, the emotional one. Because every time my parents spent money on flowers or champagne towers, I knew exactly what they had refused to spend on me. My life versus her party. 3 weeks before surgery, the hospital called. The receptionist sounded apologetic. "Miss Bennett, your insurance coverage requires an advance payment." "How much?" $19,000. I stared at the wall. "I don't have that. We may need to postpone the surgery." Postpone, meaning the tumor kept growing, meaning more risk, more damage, more fear. I hung up the phone with shaking hands. And for the first time in my life, I cried like a child. Not because I was sick, because I was alone. 2 days later, Emily invited me to lunch. A rare gesture. We met at a trendy cafe downtown. She arrived wearing designer sunglasses and a sparkling engagement ring the size of a marble. "You look tired," she said. I forced a smile. "Working." She sipped her latte. "I heard about your surgery." "You heard?" Mom must have told her. Emily shrugged. "That sucks." Sucks. That word again. I swallowed the anger rising in my chest. "I might have to postpone it." She tilted her head. "Why?" "Money." She frowned. "But you're good with money." "I still can't afford it." She tapped her nails on the table. Then she said something that changed everything. "Well, maybe if you hadn't chosen such a boring career." The word stunned me. "What?" "Nursing isn't exactly lucrative." My hands trembled. "I help save lives." She rolled her eyes. "You clean bedpans." Something inside me cracked. "Emily." She leaned closer. "You've always been jealous of me." Jealous. The audacity made my stomach twist. "I'm not jealous." "Yes, you are." Her smile was smug. "Everyone knows it." For a moment, I couldn't speak. Because suddenly the entire world felt upside down. The girl whose wedding cost more than my life thought I was the problem. I stood. Abruptly. "Good luck with the wedding." She looked confused. "That's it?" I nodded. "Yeah." Because something had finally become clear. I wasn't part of their family. I was simply the extra character in Emily's story. 2 weeks before surgery, I collapsed at work. Pain exploded through my abdomen. My coworker Marcus drove me to the ER. While waiting for scans, he sat beside me quietly. "You shouldn't be working like this." "I don't have a choice." He frowned. "What about your family?" I laughed. A hollow sound. "They're busy planning a wedding." Marcus looked confused. I told him everything. Every detail. Every rejection. His expression slowly darkened. "That's messed up." I nodded weakly. "Yes." He leaned forward. "Claire, are you sure you know everything about your sister?" "What do you mean?" Marcus hesitated. Then he said something that would change my life forever. "I think there's something you should see." Marcus handed me his phone. On the screen was a photo. Emily, but not the Emily from wedding magazines. This Emily was inside a luxury hotel lobby in Las Vegas, standing beside a man who definitely wasn't her fiancé. They were kissing. My brain struggled to process it. "What is this?" "Marcus Sahil. My cousin works at that hotel." I felt my pulse pounding. Emily's fiancé, David Harper, is a lawyer in our hospital network. I knew the name. Big money. Prestigious family. Perfect wedding. Marcus continued carefully. "David asked my cousin to check security footage last month." "For what?" He hesitated. "For proof of Emily cheating." The room spun. "She's cheating on him?" Marcus nodded slowly. Multiple times. The words landed like stones. Emily. Perfect Emily. Golden child. Family pride. Secretly betraying the man my parents adored. Why didn't he expose her? Marcus shrugged. "He's gathering evidence for a prenup violation." A prenup, meaning money. Lots of money. Suddenly, a strange thought entered my mind. My parents had refused my surgery while funding a wedding built on lies. I stared at the photo again, and something unfamiliar stirred inside me. Not sadness, not anger, something colder, clearer. For the first time in weeks, the pain in my chest wasn't despair. It was focus. Over the next days, Marcus helped me gather information. Hotel records, photos, text message. Emily had been cheating on David for nearly a year. Different men, different cities. Vegas, Chicago, Miami, all while planning her fairy tale wedding. My parents had no idea. They believed Emily was perfect, intouchable. But now I held the truth in my hands. The power to destroy the illusion they loved more than me. Yet every night, a question haunted me. Was revenge worth it? Did exposing Emily make me as cruel as they were? I stared at hospital bills on my table. 38000美元. My life reduced to numbers. Meanwhile, my parents ordered imported orchids for the wedding. I thought about my father's words. You're an adult. Medical costs are your responsibility. Responsibility. Fine. Then maybe truth was mine to reveal. The transformation inside me was quiet. No dramatic moment. Just a slow shift. The scared girl begging for help disappeared. In her place stood someone new. Someone patient. Someone thinking carefully. Revenge didn't need screaming. It needed timing. And the perfect stage. Emily's wedding. The event my parents had sacrificed me for. Thousands of dollars. Hundreds of guests. One moment where truth could not be ignored. I spent days preparing, collecting evidence, organizing files, screenshots, photos, videos, everything, not to hurt Emily, but to reveal reality. And every time doubt crept into my mind, the hospital called again asking about my payment. Reality answered for me. A week before the wedding, my surgery was officially postponed. Risk increasing, pain worsening. No one in my family asked how I was. But they did ask if I'd attend the ceremony. Mom texted, "Your sister wants you there." I stared at the message, then typed a reply. Of course, because I had a plan and patience. The wedding took place in a massive vineyard outside Napa Valley. White roses, crystal chandeliers, estrinquadle. Everything screamed luxury. My parents glowed with pride as guests arrived. Mom hugged me quickly. "You look pale." "I'm sick." She barely listened. Smile for photos. Of course, image mattered more than truth. Emily arrived in a breathtaking gown, worth more than my yearly salary. Everyone gasped. The golden daughter, perfect, radiant, intouchable. But as she walked down the aisle toward David, I noticed something interesting. He looked calm, too calm, almost amused. The ceremony was beautiful. Vows, applause, kisses, champagne. Then came the reception. Music, dancing, speeches. Finally, the moment I'd been waiting for. The microphone. Emily's maid of honor finished her speech. The host announced, "Now Emily's sister, Claire, would like to say a few words." Hundreds of eyes turned toward me. I walked slowly to the stage. Heart steady, hands calm. Emily smiled confidently. She thought I was there to praise her. I looked at my parents. They looked proud. So proud. I took a breath. Emily and I were born on the same day. Guests chuckled. Twins, I continued. But our lives have always been different. I paused. The room quieted. Emily was always the favorite. My mother shifted uncomfortably. But tonight isn't about childhood. I pulled a small remote from my pocket. The giant screen behind the stage flickered. A photo appeared. Emily kissing another man in Vegas. The room gasped. Emily's smile vanished. "What is this?" she whispered. Another photo appeared. Then another. Then video. Hotel footage. Text message. Proof after proof. The audience fell into stunned silence. Emily's face turned white. "Claire, stop!" But I continued calmly. While my parents spent $100,000 on this wedding, I looked directly at them. They refused to help pay my medical surgery. Whispers spread across the crowd. I was told I wasn't worth the money. I turned back to Emily, but apparently loyalty wasn't worth much either. Emily screamed, "You psycho!" My father rushed forward. "What are you doing?" But the truth had already exploded across the room. The illusion was gone, destroyed, exactly as planned. Or so I thought. Because at that moment, David Harper stood up, smiling. David slowly walked toward the stage. The entire room watched in stunned silence. Emily grabbed his arm. "David, I swear." He gently removed her hand. "I know." Her eyes widened. "You?" "No." He nodded. "About all of it." The guests murmured in confusion. David looked at me. "Claire, thank you." The words shocked everyone. "A for me." "What?" He smiled faintly. "I've been collecting evidence for months." Emily's face twisted in panic. "The prenup," he continued calmly. "If Emily cheated before marriage, she forfeits everything." Gasps rippled across the room. David turned to the guests. "Ladies and gentlemen, this wedding just saved me about $50 million." The room exploded with whispers. Emily screamed, "You planned this?" David shrugged. "I needed proof." He glanced at me. And perfect timing. Suddenly, the truth hit me. He had known. Marcus must have told him I had evidence. My revenge had become his strategy. Emily collapsed into a chair, sobbing. My parents looked like statues carved from shock. Their perfect daughter, ruined. Their reputation, destroyed. All because of the truth they never wanted to see. My father finally spoke. "Claire?" His voice trembled. "We didn't know." I looked at him calmly. "That's the problem," Mom whispered. "We're sorry." For a moment I almost believed her. Almost. But then I remembered the hospital calls. The bills. The nights I cried alone. And I realized something important. Apologies only come after consequences. Never before. I stepped down from the stage. Marcus appeared beside me quietly. "You okay?" I nodded. "Yeah." Emily's screaming echoed across the hall. The wedding had turned into chaos. Guests leaving. Photographers stunned. My parents chasing damage control. But none of it mattered anymore. Because the illusion was gone. Forever. Weeks later, something unexpected happened. David Harper paid for my surgery. Not out of guilt. Out of gratitude. "You helped expose the truth," he told me. I believe in paying debts. The operation was successful. Recovery was slow, but peaceful. For the first time in years, my life felt like it belonged to me. My parents tried calling many times. I didn't answer. Not out of revenge, just clarity. Some bridges burn for a reason. One evening during recovery, I sat by the window watching the sunset. The world looked quiet, gentle. Marcus asked me something. "Do you regret it?" I thought for a long moment. Then I shook my head slowly. Because revenge hadn't healed everything, but it had revealed something far more valuable than justice. Truth. And truth changes everything. Some people think revenge is about destroying others. But they're wrong. Revenge isn't about anger. It's about exposure. Because when the truth finally steps into the light, the masks fall away, and the people who refuse to see your worth suddenly realize the most painful lesson of all. The person they ignored was the only one who ever told the truth.